And today we have Google Tips, and we've got Tiffany, Brent, and Rachel here to wow us with their sweet tips. So without further ado, Rachel, Brent, Tiffany.
Okay, can everyone see our slides? All right, awesome. So good morning, and thank you for joining us today. Let me introduce the team. My name is Tiffany. We also have Brent and Rachel here today. We are from the Educational Media Center. And today we're going to share some sweet tricks when using Google Forms, Google Docs, and your Gmail. So let's begin with Forms. With social distancing as the new norm, digital forms can help you to collect any type of information that you may need, whether it's for a conference, whether it's for your classroom, or just a meeting that you might need to collect information prior to getting together with everyone. So looking to online forms and survey building can actually help you collect your data digitally. And online forms, such as Google Forms, is a really convenient tool that you can use since it's associated with our Gmail account. Many people, as I mentioned in some of the examples, might use it to collect information such as for a survey or for a meeting, or even as a registration form, which is what we like to use Google Forms for at the EMC. And just like any other Google tool that you might use, there's a bunch of templates that you could use to get you started with. So if you are logged into your Gmail, you can follow me along if you'd like. And we're going to access Google Forms together. So you can go to the Google Apps tool from your Gmail where it has the little dots to the left of your login icon in the upper right-hand corner. And you may need to scroll down to find the Forms tool. So it's a little purple icon. And then you can left click on it. And you should have the Google Forms window appear on your screen. So just like Google Docs or Google Slides or Google Sheets, there's a template gallery at the top. So you can expand it by clicking on the words template gallery. And there's a bunch of different templates that you can get started with. Any of the templates that you click on, such as this find the time one, you might want to check it out and see what it looks like. So this could be like a registration for meetings of some sort. And any of the templates that you click on, it will be added to your workspace in the Forms tool. So if I go back by clicking on the Forms home, I should see the find the time listed in my work list of files or form files I might be working with. A lot of times when you're looking at different templates, there might be some questions that you really like from one, but not all of them, and some questions from another one. Or you might be working with other, you might have access to other templates where you might want to use some of those questions. So you could always start with a blank form. And when you start with the blank form, you always are given one question for default, just to let you know that you can start there. There's different types of questions. You can change the question types. Since I'm going to create a form and I'm going to borrow some questions from other forms that are in my work area, I'm going to delete this question because I don't need it. So I might be in charge of creating a registration form for a 3-day event. And there's some questions that I saw in the RSVP, and I think it was like a reservation form or registration form that was in the template area. So there is an import questions tool that's below the add questions tool. So if you left click on that, you can add questions from forms into your current working form. So I had already checked out some of the templates earlier. As I mentioned, I liked some from a registration form. So I'm going to select the form. And then when I actually select it. On the right, you have an import questions window appear, and all the questions that are in that form will be listed, and you can check all of them off, or you can select what you need. So from that form, for my event form, I'm going to take the name, email, organization, and the question that asks the days that the participant might attend. And I'm going to import those 4 questions. So the nice thing about that is that it imports the question for you in its entirety, and then it sets it up in the order that it was listed from the other, in this case, template. Because I also want to borrow a few other questions from another template that I had viewed, I'm going to select my last question, and I'm going to import from there. You can always import from any question, and if you want to change the order, you can click and drag it. So it's a really friendly interface for rearranging your questions. So I'm going to go back to my import questions tool, and there are 2 questions from the RSVP template that I looked at. So I'm going to borrow, how do you hear about this event? And the comments or questions question. And I'm going to import that. So it took me a few clicks, and I basically created the entire form question-wise that I might want to use for a registration event. And then after that, I can just make modifications of some of the questions and maybe some of the response choices. Besides adding a title for your form, so that's just the working title that you would see. It does get transferred over into the description, the title of the form, but you can always edit it to what you want the participant to see. And it doesn't affect the title that you use for yourself. So these are just the questions. I probably want to apply a theme, so I can customize it through the theme tool. And when I choose an image, based on the image that I insert, would determine the theme colors that might be given to you, but you're not limited to just these colors. There's a little plus sign that you can add a custom color. So you can pick something from the colored area, or if you know the hex color code, you can put it in there. And then when you add it, sorry, it'll apply it. And then if you notice the background area, it also modifies those choices for you. So you can change the background color if you want to, something lighter, darker. You can choose the different font options that are available. So that was actually pretty quick, and it's really convenient to use the templates or other forms that may be available to you. Besides creating like registration forms or survey forms to evaluate maybe a peer in a class because at a team project, or just you want an evaluation for a workshop or meeting you ran. Something I like to use forms for when I teach some of the classes for the ICS department is for homework. So recently, within the last couple of semesters, I started using forms for my students to submit their homework. I really like it because not only does it display the point system per question, I can also provide individual feedback for each question or any necessary question for my students. So there is a feedback area where I can put feedback for questions that they answered correctly or incorrectly. And then depending on if they fully met the requirements, if they did receive a perfect score, when I save it and I return it to them, it's checked off in green, as you see in the image. And if points was lost, then it's colored red and it's an X. So it's easy for students to visually look at things that there may have been errors on, or they can just look at the feedback at the same time. Another really cool thing about forms is how you can collect your information. So I'm going to use a different form for this example. So sometimes you may have a form that you use a lot, whether it's for every workshop, for every meeting, for every class. In some of the classes I teach for ICS, there is a peer evaluation form. So I normally use the same form every semester, and it helps me to allow the students to do a self-assessment of their teammates. And instead of always having a new form for every semester or possibly for all the different classes, you can create different forms and store it in the same Google Sheet. So what you need to do is you do need to create the collect the form in a sheet, which is the one here. So the first one, the first sheet I showed you was something that was used last semester. Second sheet is my test to show you that you can add it. And so the reason why I did that is that it's important that you do export your data, because in the form you can clear it. So it's in the actual form, not the export information. So you're not removing that information. I'm going to say delete all responses. So the feedback for happy is being removed from the form, inside the form, but not the sheet. So if I go back to my spreadsheet, I still have the data that was submitted for the evaluation of my partner named Happy. And then I can also start another one. And I can collect on a new sheet. So you would go to select response destination, and then select from an existing spreadsheet. So that's for my fall 20, since I didn't rename it yet, peer eval, and I'm going to select it. And then it says it's linking to a spreadsheet, and the spreadsheet is linked. So that means when I go back to the Google Sheet, there's a third form below. So this is the new one. So it could be another class, it could be another semester that you're collecting information, and you can rename them. So I could rename this to fall 21, maybe it's an online class. And then if I wanted to test it out to make sure that the data is being collected, on the new sheet, I can test it out with the form link. So maybe my partner's name is Bunny. And rate them on their participation. And then submit it. So after the information has been recorded, I can check that is recorded. So this is the new sheet I'm collecting from the same form. And this is one that I just did. So you don't have to always create a new form every time you want to collect some sort of information. You can collect everything in one space. If you do have other forms, because maybe there's different event dates for it, or in my case, when I'm collecting homework from different sections, some of them may have different due dates. Like my online sections have different due dates from my hybrid face-to-face sections. So what I would do is create a new I would duplicate the form. So I might have one for the regular face-to-face, and then I would just need to make sure that I create a spreadsheet. So to save time, I'm just going to create it from the form. And then I would make a copy of this form. And so part of the reason why I make copies of some of the forms in regards to a classroom situation is that I can close the forms and to stop collecting information. That way students can't submit a form past the due date. So I created my second form and then I'm going to link it by selecting my response destination to an existing spreadsheet. And then that way, when I look at the form, I'm using one Google Sheet to collect information from 2 classes. And you could do this for anything from a workshop event, maybe there's several days of the event. So each day you're asking for feedback at the end of the day. So you could use the same form basically and collect it in one spot. So it's super convenient. It's really great for data collection. And it's something that you might be interested in. So hopefully that piqued your interest on Google Forms that maybe you can use for yourself this semester, maybe look into it for next semester. Now we're going to move on to Brent, and he's going to show you the power of Google Docs.
Terrific. Thank you, Tiffany. Let me share my screen here. Find it for you. Hey. All right. Well, thank you everybody for joining us today. This bunny has nothing to do with this presentation other than it's cute. And if you look at his little picture here, I love it because he looks like he's smiling. So, you know, sending some positivity out to you folks today with a smiling bunny. It's actually his nose, not his mouth, but it looks like he's smiling. So thanks for joining. So the topic of this brief session is Google Docs, power and word processing. Many of you may be familiar with Google Docs, but I just wanted to emphasize that some of its powers or strengths are in collaboration. You can use it, it's an online tool. You can use it to collaborate with your colleagues or students as well. It's really strong and robust for collaborating and sharing of your documents. And that's one of the big powers or strengths of the Google Doc as compared to other word processors that we may have been familiar with using in the past because it's online. It's pretty robust in that. It's also very adaptable, as I hope to show you in a few more slides. And you can personalize it to meet your needs and your workflow. There's both some add-ons and some features in Google Docs that you might not know about that I hope to share with you today. And so these are kind of little wow points that I'm going to share, things that you may not know about. First of all, I'll just talk about some of the sharing or features for collaboration that are built into a Google Doc. Let me switch here to a sample Google Doc that I made for our presentation today. It's just a standard, simple Google Doc. All Google Docs will have a share button in the upper right corner. So this blue share button up here will allow you, if you click on it, will allow you several options for sharing. So you may already be familiar with putting in a specific person's name in here if you're collaborating with them. You could type in their name and you can collaborate. They can contribute to your document and you can work on that together and share it. But there's also another split box down here. And in this box down here where it says get link, you can change the setting for this document and you can change it to anyone with link or University of Hawaii. Usually by default, it's set to restricted to start off with. But by choosing either anyone with link or University of Hawaii, you can expand who can see or even contribute to your document. So for example, if you were to click on anyone with link, then when you share the link to this Google document, anybody who gets the link can view the document and read it. You could change it if you wanted to allow them to also collaborate as well. But for the most part, we use this technique a lot to share with people who might not need to contribute, but would benefit from seeing. A prime example of this would be sharing your syllabus. You could work on it in your Google Doc and then go anyone with link and set it to viewer, share that link within your course, and then students can easily view your Google Doc. Benefits of sharing it like that is you no longer have to download a PDF of your document and upload it to share. It removes that whole download upload process. You can just share the link to the Google Doc. And if you come across a grammatical error or a date change that needs to be updated, you can make that change and it's instantly reflected in the document. No more sharing the version again with your audience. So those are some of the built-in sharing features of the Google Doc. But you may not know that under the file drop-down menu, there's also a way to email the document. So remember in the past, you might have to save your document, attach it to an email, send out the email with the attachment. A lot of steps involved with that. With Google Docs, you can do it through file, email, and you can email your document right here, email this file, again, as a PDF to a specific person so that they can have it. So no more downloading and attaching. It's all done through Google Docs. Alternatively, if the person is already listed as a collaborator, you can email just the collaborators for this document. So like if you make a change and you wanted to notify people to look at it, you could email all the collaborators who have been listed under this share button. Remember, we're just looking at that over here. So built into the Google Docs under file, email is another way that you can share your document really easily, already built in. A third way to share the document would be if you don't want to necessarily share, but you want to distribute. So an example of this would be this document today in our presentation. There are 50-something people in our session today, and I don't have everybody's email off the top of my head, right? But let's say I wanted to share this document with you. And I don't mind, it's just a simple document, and I don't mind that you have a copy of it. Well, up here in the Google Doc, what you can do is copy the URL up here, right? And then you could paste it. So let me paste it in chat. But when you paste it in chat, you want to change it. Oops. You want to change it so that, oh, my chat went away. Come on, chat, come back. There you go. You want to change it so that at the end of your document, it ends in, instead of edit, it ends in copy, right? So let me show you what that looks like here. So you'll notice here how it says copy. You want to take away edit. So take away edit and replace it with /copy. And what happens then is when you share that URL with your students or your colleagues, it will instantly prompt them to make their own copy of the Google Doc. So they do need to be logged in with their Google account first. But if they are logged in, it'll just prompt them right away to just make a copy of the document. So for example, if you're distributing a worksheet to your students or a file that you want people to just work from to start off with, you could do /copy and just distribute it to whoever gets the link. So you don't have to know their email. You could just share something and they can have an instant copy for themselves. Alternative to /copy would be /PDF. So if you wanted to share a PDF with them of the document, same thing, /PDF, send that link to them and they can have a copy as a PDF really easily. You could also post this on a website this way too. If you had a template for people to fill out, / copy it on a website, they can just hit it, have a copy of the document to start filling out on their own. So those are 3 different ways that you can use Google Docs to share and distribute your documents efficiently. So, so that was kind of sharing, collaborating on steroids, kind of powerful. The second thing you can do is you can add on to Google Docs. If those sharing things weren't enough, there are a ton of add-ons that you can add to your Google Doc. And so to do that, 3 that I wanted to show you are Flat Icon, which is a graphics add-on, MathType, which is a math formula add-on, which I thought was pretty cool, and then Grackle, which is our university licensed accessibility helper or checker. So let me show you what those look like. Again, I'm going to go back to my little sample document. It's nothing special, it's just a sample document. To do the add-ons, you go up here to the Google Docs add-ons area, and then you can do get add-ons, and you can search for add-ons here. You know, when you find, they're all kind of rated, so you can go through them and read about them and learn about them. But the 3 that I chose to show you today are very popular. Let's first go to the icons for slides and docs. So you basically download or install these add-ons in your browser, and they support your Google Doc account. So here's a icon. So if I'm working in my Google Doc, first let me put my cursor somewhere. Like, let me put it right here. And let's say I want to put a nice icon or image for it. Put my cursor there. I go up here to add-ons, get add-ons. Oops, sorry, clicked on the wrong one. Icons, start. On the right, it will launch here in my little sidebar. This is icons, so I could search for them. You know, like whatever you're looking for, rainbow. And then it would search. You can find one that you like. As long as it doesn't have that little gold crown, which means it costs money, you could probably just select it and then insert it and then adjust it as needed. You know, like any other graphic. So that's one example of an add-on. That particular one is for graphics. There's also one here. Let me put my cursor right here. There's also one that I have to show you called MathType. And MathType is one that you can write formulas in your Google Doc really easily, I think. You can either choose some templates here for types of formulas that you want to add in here. Oops. Like so. And simply insert it that way. Right, there it is. Or the other cool thing about it is, check this out. If you go to MathType on the right, I don't know if you noticed it, but there was a pencil icon, so, or a finger icon. And you could, if you don't want to search for your little formulas, you can just write it here. Like, let me just do this one. And it recognizes it. Give it a minute. And then you can insert it that way too. So you could insert things. And that's how I did this little one with the 100 degrees. I did it with that finger writing one. So that might save you some time as far as inserting into your Google Doc. Another add-on, which is a very common one that we promote here at the University of Hawaii, is called Grackle Docs. And that's because it's an accessibility checker. So let me launch that one. And by the way, all of these 3 are free add-ons. So click launch. For Grackle, though, the university does have a license for it. So what you'll see here when you install Grackle, in the upper right, there will usually be a sign on with your university Google account button. You want to click on that and sign into Grackle just for some additional features. But this is what Grackle looks like. It has a checker on the right here. And so what happens here is it found an error, 2 errors for images, right? So what you can do, it's really interactive. You click on it, it tells you if you need help locating it. You click on locate, and it will show you the image here. Now it's selected. And then it says, do you want to add a tag? And I do. So now I want to add like a alt text for it. So let me just describe it as candy round. and update that. And then my second one, let me look at my second one. Okay, and tag that one. So it's very interactive. It's a great way to troubleshoot your accessibility. Oops, rainbow. Right? And then what's cool is when you're done fixing it or you think you're done, it's like a game. You come up here and you go to recheck, and then you can recheck your document until you get it all green. It seems all good. Sometimes you may have some warnings like this, but those are just like for your information. But if it's red, those are the ones you really want to take care of. Now, last thing to note, if you are going to export this file, you want to use this export to PDF button in Grackle so that it saves all those changes that you made for accessibility. So those are 3 add-ons. There's many more add-ons, but you get the idea. You can add stuff to your Google Doc. Okay, another cool thing is the voice typing feature of Google Docs. So in Google Docs, again, it does need to be in Google Chrome. So you need to be using Google Chrome for this feature. But for this one, you put your cursor where you want it. And under Tools, drop-down menu, you'll click on Voice Typing. And so voice typing here will bring up a microphone. And you can click on the microphone and you can start talking to your Google Doc. And you can give it simple commands like text color green. Let's see if that worked. Yep, no, yes. Text color purple. Are you changing the text color? It's not understanding that for me. But it does a pretty good job of recognizing the words. So voice typing, what it might be useful for is if you are, an example would be if you're giving a student feedback on their essay, you have more feedback than can be typed into a comment box. So you would click on the microphone and you would give them feedback right in the document. You probably want to change the color so they know it's your comments. But yeah, unfortunately, it does take some practice to do the grammatical commands, because there are commands built in like text color green, or let's see if that changed. No, text color green. Anyway, you get the idea. There's a period. You can delete, but it takes a little bit of practice. But that's the voice commands, and that's how you might use it. And then when you're ready to stop, you simply check on the microphone and it goes black and it stops. Okay, the other cool thing that I wanted to just share with you is clear formatting. So formatting, you may end up with a document like this when you're collaborating, where you have different font colors and different fonts. What you can do is select the word, and then up here, there's this remove or clear formatting icon, the T with the cross over it. You select that and it wipes away all that formatting that may have come in when someone copied and pasted. So as you're building your collaborative documents, simply highlight things, come up here to clear formatting, it returns it to the default font. So everything is consistent and easy to read. Alternatively, if you're copying and pasting from the internet or from other documents, if you do Control-Shift-V or Command-Shift-V on a Mac, that will be pasting without formatting. So then you don't even have to go in and clear formatting, because when it pastes in the content without formatting on the text. So those are helpful tips to know for importing or pasting. And lastly, there's a cool thing called auto substitutions, which is convenient and easy way to do corrections, sort of. And so for that one, basically you come up here to Tools, Preferences, and it's called Substitutions. You put in on the left what words you want to be identified with, and on the right, the words you want it to be switched out with. And so some common examples would be words, Hawaiian words that may have diacritical marks. Instead of using the Hawaiian keyboard, you could do that. But if you're not using a Hawaiian keyboard, this is an easy way to put diacriticals in there. Also, if you had special characters, like for example, the tilde in Penalosa, you could have that substituted as well. So what that looks like really quickly, is if I was to type Penalosa. I don't have access to my insert characters, special characters. So if I just type it in there, when I hit space, it corrects it for me. It substitutes it in there. So I would have already set that up in my tools, preferences, substitutions. And so there's two ways to get it. You can either copy and paste that character or that word in there, or you could build it in here by going through the old way of insert special characters and then finding the tilde and piecing the word together and then copying and pasting it into your substitution gallery. So if you're interested, University of Hawaii actually has a list of some words here that they've made that you can, and I appended, that you can copy and paste into your substitutions gallery. Okay, thank you. So now I will turn it over to Rachel. Let me stop sharing here, and she will share some Gmail tips.
Okay, thanks, Brent. Let me share my screen here. Okay, so our final Google Suite application is Gmail. So I'm going to be sharing with you how you can use the tools in Gmail to tackle possibly some of your most common problems. So I'm going to do, since we don't have too much time, just going to do maybe like a quick demo of each. So don't worry about trying to follow along or trying to remember everything. I have all the how-tos linked in the slides, and we'll give you the slides at the end. So I'll just kind of give you a quick demo of what each of these things are. So number one, how many of you have ever said this before? I can't find anything. I just have too many emails to look through. It all gets buried. I can't find the thing that I'm looking for, right? Either raise your hand in Zoom or give me a thumbs up in Zoom. Has that ever happened to you before? Okay, so if this is you, I have a couple of solutions. So the first is you can use the search box with advanced search operators. So there's special search operators you can use, such as from : to : has : attachment, after : with a date, and so forth. And so I've linked on the slide there the complete list of search operators that you can look through later. But just to kind of show you what this is, here's a search box up here. And normally you can just do a search, right? So for instance, say I'm looking for an email from Brent, right? But look, there's like 50 emails from Brent. So how can I narrow that down, right? So what I can do is I can use the search operator from Brent. So from : no space, and I can put bharas@hawaii.edu. And now I have 2 emails. So as you can see, it's really helpful to kind of narrow down those results so that you can find what you need. And what's great is that you can stack these search queries. So if I want to say it was to Brent, right? And that's going to find me 40 results, but I know it was something he sent me an attachment. He had sent me like a PDF or something. I can say has attachment, gives me 5 results, right? And then you can keep adding on, like say I knew a keyword, OER, and then look, it finds me what I was looking for. So you can stack on these advanced search operators as well as just regular keywords, and it can help you find what you're looking for. The second solution is to create labels to organize your email. So labels, they're kind of like tags. You can multiple tag your messages or just have one label for your message. And that will help you to find things easier, because when you can add a label to it, so I'll show you how to make the label. You can either go through the side panel here, or you can go up here or in the settings. But down here, create new labels. So let's say create a label for action. And now I can just click on here, action, and now it's going to put a label action on it. So now I can click on my label and it'll just pull up those emails. And it couples with the search, because we notice up here, label : is another search operator. So now I can look within labels too. So if I had labels for Leeward or labels for my department or for my class, you can do it that way and help you find things easier. Okay, problem number 2. I can't remember to follow up on an email. Once I read a message, I forget to go back to it. How many of you have this problem? Show of hands, thumbs up in the chat. Yeah, okay. So if this is you, I have 4 solutions for you. One is simply mark it as unread. So simple. You can go here, say you open up an email, you've read it, but you want to follow up with it again. You can mark it as unread by clicking this button here, mark as unread. And now it'll come up in bold. So that kind of prompts you to open it, right? Because it's unread. Another solution is you can snooze the emails until a later date and time. So this is a relatively new feature in Gmail. So over here, if you hover over your message, or even if you're in the message, there's a snooze button, looks like a clock. And if you click that, you can tell it when you want it to come back to your inbox. So it's kind of like a boomerang feature. So you can say, oh, maybe later today or tomorrow, so it can, come back to you. The third solution is to create a label, for instance, action. So I had just showed you in the previous one how to create a label. So the reason of creating a label called action is, well, for one, it starts with the letter A. So in your list of labels, it'll be at the top. And with the action label, this kind of prompts you, these are the emails I need to take action on today. So maybe throughout the day, as you label your emails as they come in, you know that I need to check my action label before I leave for the day. So this is another way to kind of help you be a little bit more efficient with tackling your emails. And then the fourth solution is to add it to your task list. So I love using this task list. How many of you love to-do lists and love to check things off your to-do list? Well, there's a task list here on the right side, if you haven't noticed it before. And you can just make to-dos on here. But what's nice is it integrates with your email. So for instance, if I had an email here, I can check it off here, or you can, if it's open, you can have it open too. And there's a button up here called Add to Tasks. So if you click on it, it'll add the subject in your task list with a link to the email. So if you have, a lot of emails in your inbox and you can't find it in your task list, you can just click on it and it'll open the email. It's almost like bookmarking your emails. So it makes it really handy to, like save those emails in a list. And then when you're done, you can check them off, mark them as complete. And if you use Google Calendar, without digressing too much, if you use Google Calendar, you can add a date. So it'll put it in your calendar. So if there's a certain email you needed to follow up on, you could add it to your calendar there and it'll show up in your Google Calendar as a task. And so that kind of helps you to be a little bit more efficient as well. Okay, problem number 3. How many of you like to plan ahead? You want to write your emails in advance to send it later. Say you're teaching an online class. You want to send your weekly emails at, every week at 8 a.m. You want it to be scheduled. Yeah, you just want to, plan ahead. So I have two solutions for this. One is you can create and save as a draft. So in here, compose your message. So you can type your message and it kind of like Google Docs, it kind of like auto saves. So now it says draft saved. So it says draft saved. You can go ahead and exit out. And now you'll notice in your drafts label, you'll have it here. Then you can go back to it and you can send it when you're ready. You can edit it and then send it when you're ready. So that's the first way. And the second is to schedule an email to send later. So this is a relatively new feature as well. What you can do is, let's say I'm sending to Brent. You can go down here and say schedule send. And this way you can pick a date and time that you want to send it. So if I want to send my weekly emails on Monday at 8, I can go ahead and say Monday at 8. And then in my scheduled label, it will show here that it's going to send it Monday at 8. So this helps you to be on task with things. You know, if you have regularly scheduled things you want to send out for like your online class, or if you want to impress your boss and you want to send your email at 6 in the morning or whatever it is, you can use it to kind of schedule things out, make sure that you send things at a certain time that you want to send them. And this helps too if you're trying to work ahead, or say you're up at midnight working, but you don't want to send this to your coworker at midnight. You can have it scheduled the next day. So hopefully that helps you guys. And then for my last one, I know, sorry, we're out of time, but for the last one, last problem is, how many of you say I repeat the same message over and over? I have to write the same email over and over. How many of you are in this boat? Yeah. Okay, so I have two solutions for that. You can use what's called an email template. So this is a new feature. It used to be an experimental feature, and now it is a permanent feature in Gmail. So you go to your settings and go to advanced. You have to enable templates. So this will create help you to create like an email template that you can use over and over. So you don't have to like copy paste the previous message. You can just save it as a template. So once you enable that, you can just write your message, whatever it is. You can format it, put in your links, make it all nice, set it up exactly how you want it when you have that time to kind of create that really beautifully crafted message. And then you go down here to the three dots, go to templates, and you save your template. So save as a new template. And then now, when I go to compose, or actually, so say somebody emails, right? And then I want to email them back. So I'm going to click reply. I can go down here and pull up my template, and it'll put it whatever I had typed in. I know this was a poor example, but for time, you get the gist of how it works. You can put in your template, and then you can still go back and you can edit it, right? So if I needed to change something, I can still go in and customize it, but it'll save you a lot of time. So I know sometimes writing emails, it takes a while, and you got to think about how you want to say your message. So this way it'll allow you to do that. And then the second solution is a thing that you frequently have to use, like a template, is your signature, right? If you have your name, your office location, phone number, contact, all your contact information and things like that, you don't want to have to keep typing that over and over and over. But there's a special tool for that. It's called a signature. So if you go to your settings and you go to scroll down to where it says signature, you can create new. And then in this box, you can put in all of your, your contact information. What's great too is you can have multiple signatures. So say you have one for your students, but you have another one for your colleagues, or another one for people that aren't at Leeward. You can have multiple signatures. And then you can specify, do you want it to automatically appear on new emails or on replies and forwards? And then I'm going to just select no for now, because I want to be able to choose what signature I want to use. And then you can check mark the box, insert signature before your text, so that your signature stays with your message. And then don't forget to click save. And so now when you, reply to an email or compose a new email, you can just click on this pen, or let's say I want to write my message, click on the pen, and then you can say, I want my EMC signature, and there it is, right at the bottom. So I use this too. Sometimes I create kind of like a template. I would say like, hi, comma, and then I would say like, thanks, Rachel. And then sometimes I save this as like my signature too. So you can use it like a template as well. All right, so that's the 4 common problems. I hope that was helpful for you guys. But just a final tip, reminder is, in the end, the best solution is to use the one that works for you and that you're going to commit to using. So hopefully I gave you a couple that you can choose from, and you can think about if you think that's going to work out for you or not. Okay, so thank you for coming to our session. We hope you got some cool tips and tricks that you can use right away. This is our contact information. And I'm sorry we're out of time. We can't take questions, but you can always email us to let us know if you do have any questions. And then we have a link there to the presentation and also to our website. And we hope to see you at maybe one of our next workshops. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for attending. I think, as Rachel said, please look at the link. Please contact them afterwards. Thank you so much, Tiffany, Rachel, and Brent. It was a wonderful, wonderful. I learned so much. And I'm always bugging you for things. So I feel like I learned even more. So thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.